Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations to both you and the ranking member for good work on the trade agreements. I look forward to working with you and appreciate the acknowledgement of my work on AGOA, and it's to that end that I'd like to address Ambassador Froman after I express my complete support for Ambassador Froman and his forceful and positive representation of the United States of America in Europe, in Africa, and around the world. You have done an outstanding job. I've seen you in action in Africa. I've seen you in action in Brussels. We're lucky to have you doing it, and I hope this all comes to a good conclusion for you and for us, too.
Thank you, sir.
Mike, as you know, Senator Coons and I have traveled to South Africa over the last 3 years, meeting with Foreign Minister Davies. Foreign Minister Davies is in Washington today because of our invitation, because there have been artificial barriers to domestic chicken from the United States being able to be exported into South Africa. They've done arbitrary blockades along the way, and we've been trying to use the AGOA extension as a lever to get them to come to the table, asking the South African Poultry Federation and the United States private sector poultry people to come together and come up with a quota that made sense for both, which we think is the right way to do it. After my meeting this morning, I think Senator Coons would agree with me, and we became concerned that this is a matter of rope-a-dope with South Africa, that they like to continue to string us out until AGOA gets renewed, and then they'll forget I'm talking about it. I don't want AGOA to become subject to one country's trade violations one way or another, but I do want to get on the record 2 points. One is you will have the power as the trade representative to revisit anybody's participation in AGOA during the course of the agreement. Is that correct?
We haven't, again, seen the final version of the legislation, but yes, that's our expectation.
Well, then let me make it a third question. If, in fact, it's not in the final version, would you help assist us in putting in language that would give us the authority to do that?
We'd be happy to work with you on that.
And secondly, I understand it's a 10-year agreement. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman? The extension?
That's correct, yeah.
It's a 10-year extension of AGOA, which I congratulate you on that time period. I think that's right. Could we possibly, in amending it or dealing with the trade agreement, put say a 3-year look-back period where you say at the end of 3 years we'll review South Africa, particularly with regard to its market access in poultry, or would that be something we couldn't do?
Well, Senator, we, first of all, very much appreciate you and your colleagues raising the concerns about agricultural market access to South Africa. It's something we have raised with the South African government from the highest levels on down consistently, and we appreciate working with you on that. I just met with Minister Davies before coming back up to the Hill and to review the progress in the negotiations and made clear that we're not seeing sufficient progress towards resolving the outstanding issues at this point, and urged him to take further actions to try and resolve our differences. If we do not make sufficient progress in that regard, we would be happy to work with you on appropriate next steps in the legislation.
Well, I would really appreciate it, because it would be a shame for the continent of Africa to suffer because one participant in the continent just refused to cooperate in negotiations that are, I think, legitimate, at worst legitimate, at best most legitimate concerns that we have. The last point I'll make about the AGOA Act, Mr. Chairman, is Africa is a continent of 1.5 billion people, most of the world's rare earth minerals, a tremendous amount of natural gas and oil and precious minerals. It is a great continent to become the continent of the 21st century for America, and trade is the key to doing business, and doing business with those countries is the key to raising the standards in Africa, but opening up markets for the United States and our companies. So I commend you on your, although AGOA is a footnote compared to TPP and TTIP, it is a very important agreement for the continent of Africa and for the United States and United States business and investment. So I commend you on what you've done for it and appreciate it. And when we get the final text of the bill, I'll talk to you about some look-back period in the bill if we don't get an agreement out of South Africa.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.